Last question on this issue of adultery then, just before we move on to some of the other punishments or some of the other crimes. Someone might say that appreciated that in Islam or Islamic history that this hasn't been carried out very often. But as you said at the start, this is meant for all times, all places. And if this was implemented in the West, for example, on an hourly basis, you'd be getting these kind of punishments.
I actually think if this was implemented in the West, you might have that the first day it was implemented, and after that, you probably wouldn't have it at all, because people would actually say no. And you know what it is? Marriage is not difficult. Wallah, marriage is not difficult. Even if you're not happy with the person you're married to, both men and women have a recourse to leave the marriage. Yeah. They have talaq, khula', fasq, a way of getting out of the marriage. All Islam asks you to do is to, if you're not happy in the marriage you're in, dissolve that marriage through one of the permitted means, wait your appropriate length of time that you're required to wait, if you have a length of time you're required to wait, and then marry the person that you want to marry. Yeah. Islam doesn't make marriage difficult. You know, I think a lot of this as well, maybe it comes from the certainly Catholic and other Christian sort of practices where divorce is impossible, where people typically commit adultery because they cannot physically get divorced or get remarried. Islam did not make it difficult to divorce or difficult to remarry. So there is really no excuse for that level of betrayal and that level of damage to the fabric of the society and the children and the wider family, and the loss of the nasab, the loss of lineage and the loss of people's honor. There really is no excuse for that when Islam made marriage so easy. Yeah. So people will see, okay, it's easy for them to get married. It's easy for people to get out of a marriage that they are unhappy in. And that should be sufficient for a person without needing to go into the haram. And I also believe there's one further point that's really important about, and I think this will benefit us in all of the topics, which is that it's so important that you don't spread the practice to others. It's not just that one person. So you might say, okay, let's just take the argument that it's, two people in love and, love is not a crime and all that type of rubbish. Yeah. That is fine in one person. But what happens when that becomes a culture? Look now in the West. Hasn't it become now a culture? Yeah. Everybody cheats on everyone. And it's become like cheating is normal, and all these kids being grown up without proper, stable parenting and all these kind of problems that brings out in the society. And really it's become something that spreads among people. So one of the purposes of the hudud is also to stop this spread of, and this is something we'll talk about inshallah when we come to apostasy as well, this issue of spreading this problem to large numbers of people in the society versus it being something that a rarity that somebody falls into. Right.